Wounded Churches. We discuss a range of topics that include addictions, religious abuse, and recovery. This live platform offers meaningful questions and answers, a counseling continuum, and valuable feedback from professionals and others who have been through the process and are healed, forgiven, and reconciled. If they can achieve this, so can you. This program can be heard on iHeart, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, and others. Make no mistake, this podcast sustains and implements three things: healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation within the Church of God. Thanks for listening.
Good day, friends. Good to see you here tonight for the podcast, Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches. We present different ideas here on the broadcast, a range of different topics we do. We discuss addiction, religious abuse, recovery. This platform offers a counseling continuum and meaningful questions and answers. You're able to connect with us. You can text in 1-866-538-3664, 1-866-538-3664. Also, you can call us at Wounded Hearts. That area code is 478-283-9093. Again, Wounded Hearts phone number is 478-283-9093. You can also email us at Wounded Hearts. That email address is reeeechone@aol.com. So glad to see you tonight for this exciting broadcast. And friends, you know, we enjoy doing this. Can you imagine globally, 400 million people watch podcasts? So our main focus is evangelistic here, to win souls, because it's just an open opportunity for that. And so this podcast can be heard on Podbean, Podpal, Podium. It can be heard on Soundwise, Mumbler, Yeso, Hopper, Buzzsprout, Amazon, Google, Poddash, Amazon Music, Pandora Review, Apple Face, SoundCloud, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. So we're just glad to be able to expand that to reach many people as we can. Friends, for our disclaimer, the views and opinions expressed on the podcast, do we always agree? No, we don't. But we do want to talk about these issues that have affected the Church of God, and to be able to get some understanding on some things, to inherit and support three things. That's why we're here. Three areas: to help the church to unify through forgiveness, healing, and reconciliation. That's a beautiful combination: healing, forgiveness, reconciliation. So join us and be ministers of reconciliation. Then we have a staff that works with us here on this podcast, and they're very, very effective. Our director, Tennille McLeod, in the Atlanta, Georgia area, a mom of four. She's a wife, homeschools, and of course, she is the founder of Arise magazine. Also, we have Mickey Mullins. He's from Alabama area. You can see him on YouTube, Facebook, pastoring for years, and has a real burden for reconciliation and healing. Also, Stella Cavan in the Ohio area. She's 95 years old. Her father did ministry in Church of God, a nephew that's a pastor, a son that was a pastor, a nephew that's a minister, and on with Church of God ministry in her family. So she's a part of the program also. And my name is Prince, your host on Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches. Friends, you've heard about, this is going to be a special broadcast tonight. It's an emergency issue that we're working with tonight. It was a last minute situation. You've heard about this Hurricane Helene. Can you imagine? Affected 6 different states, killed 200 people, maybe more. PBS says Helen and other storms contributed 40 trillion gallons of rain. Can you imagine that? Torrential rains, catastrophic flooding. It'll take years to recover in some areas, like Carolina, for example. Uh, in that area of Carolina that we're talking about tonight, 31 inches of rain have been doing those 3 days. Can you imagine that? That much rain in those few days. And again, 200 plus died in the storm itself nationwide. And of course, Boone, Carolina itself, 16 inches of rain. And we hear more than that. So it's just been devastating what has happened. The cost of this storm has been $34 billion. So it's just shocking in that Boone area of Asherville. There's almost 800 people homeless. 200 of those are unsheltered at this point. So it was just shocking. But there's a friend of ours there, Brother Storts, Pastor Storts, been pastoring for years. He's been on the program before, and he been through the storm. We just want to hear about how it happened, what went on, and see if we can learn some things that might come our way one day. So we want to see how he went through, see where he is now, and to be a support for him. Pastor Storts, good to see you tonight, my friend. You came at the last minute. I want to thank you for that. I know you're in transition. We heard about Boone area. It was such a shock to us. So, I mean, wow, there's so much to unpack here. What were your first signs it was a serious situation?
We had left the house and we were traveling to Chapel Hill to visit with my wife's childhood best friend. We usually try to go visit her on her birthday, which was Friday. And so Friday morning we started out to go visit my wife's best friend. And as we were leaving Boone, going down the mountain into the valley, there was a tree and a power line down across all 4 lanes of the highway.
Wow.
And so we were unable to continue traveling. So we turned around, came back to Boone. And although it had been raining and we knew it was supposed to rain that day, we had no idea that we were about to encounter what we saw. Whenever we had only gone about, maybe 15, 20 minutes towards Wilkesboro and towards Chapel Hill. And when we came back to our mobile home park where we lived, we could not get to the mobile home because the water had already risen high enough to cover the road. So we had floods that caused that scenario that we saw Friday afternoon, and it wasn't just real bad compared to what we had experienced before here in Boone. But as the rain continued, it just came with a fierce downpour. And we live about 10 or 12 feet from Mutton Creek, which is a pleasant little creek. And during the summertime, it gives us a cool window. We can raise up our windows on that side of the house, and the cool breeze from that creek is just very refreshing.
Wow.
And so we had to turn around and go back. I was going to go to the hotel where I work 2 days a week and stay there and ride out the storm because it's on higher ground. And when we tried to get to the hotel, the roads were blocked because they were already flooded.
Wow.
So we went up on a hill where the Toyota dealership was at, and we sat there for a little while. And then it came to my mind, there's a hotel across the street from where we were parked. We had called Sister Irene Spinogle to pray for our situation. And as soon as we got off the phone with her, we thought of that hotel across the street. So we went to it, and we got the very last room that they had available.
Wow.
And we were able to spend the night at the Hampton Inn, and then the next day we were able to way up our hill. We had to go back to our Quality Inn, and we were able to get to it the next day. And we've been there ever since I guess we've been here 9 or 10 days.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Now, Brother Storts,
it's
I'm sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead.
when we were there at the hotel, a next door neighbor had driven a little bit further into the mobile home park on higher ground, and he watched all of the water coming down the creek hitting our
Wow.
mobile home.
Wow.
And he said all the objects like wheelbarrows and furniture and lawn equipment and everything came rushing down that creek. That little creek rose probably about 10 feet from normal
Wow.
flow.
Wow.
And he sat there and watched all kinds of debris hit the corner of our mobile home. And he said he called us on the phone and told us he was watching it. And it was I don't remember what day we were able to come back, and the water had receded enough for us to be able to access our mobile home. When we got in, we found that the rain had been up at least 4 to 6 inches high inside the mobile home.
Wow.
So it was dirty, muddy water that flowed down that creek and inundated the house. And it only took about 2 days for mold to start setting up. And by
Wow.
the end of maybe 3 or 4 days, the mold was growing so fast I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
It's just severe mold everywhere. So we lost a lot of stuff that was damaged just from the water, but then we lost a lot that it was above that water line, but the water stayed in the house long enough that nearly everything in the house soaked up that moisture and that water and damaged so much stuff that it shorted out my computer system. And I had a desktop system set up and a laptop, and far as I know, they were both destroyed to where you couldn't use them. My laptop would come on for a little bit and then go off, and come on for a little bit and go off, and finally it just went off and stayed off. So I'm having to use my iPhone for everything that we do, checking mail and checking my bank and different things. But we finally were able to get the water receded enough that we were able to get to the trailer house. And
that was the next day.
God has just helped us. We're not physically affected in any way, but it's been an emotional disaster as well as a physical and financial disaster. I'm not a wealthy man, and we lost a lot of value in the things, even the things that we got a U-Haul truck, a 20-foot U-Haul truck, and we loaded stuff up. But I'm afraid that when we open it up, it's probably going to have a lot of mold in it. So
Wow.
we'll just have to see if we're able to save anything or how much we're able to save. I had 2 storage buildings right beside the trailer, and one of them was about an 8-foot by 16-foot, maybe 14, and then I had an 8 by 8 storage building behind it. Well, the water swept that 8 by 8 storage building down the creek, and I haven't
Wow.
seen it anywhere.
Wow. Wow.
The larger storage building, it moved it about probably 20, 30 feet towards the road in the direction of the flow of the water as it crested at probably 10 foot and
Wow.
moved everything in its path.
Wow.
There's probably about 5 or 6 mobile homes that were really damaged severely, and ours was one of them.
Wow. Brother Storts, what point did you sense this was getting out of control as far as the weather? When did you sense that? At what point?
When my friend called me, when my next door neighbor called me and said, your house is moving.
Mm-hmm.
And the he watched the debris and the water come down the creek and hit against the side of the house, and he thought that his house and ours both were going to be washed completely away. The foundation was damaged significantly, and some of the siding on the trailer was ripped off. The floor felt like he was walking on a wet sponge.
Right. Yeah.
So there's going to be a hard time drying that out and cleaning it out.
We're going to take a quick break, friends. We're going to come back, Brother Storts, to find more about this storm and how it affected him and his family. We'll be right back. Please don't leave. We have more discussions on this storm Helene that affected even the saints. We'll be right back.
Greetings. Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches is a weekly podcast reaching out to the disenfranchised, disconnected, or wounded. Remember, you are not forgotten. You went through a debilitating situation. As a result, we are reaching out to you in love with forgiveness, reconciliation, and healing. We also offer an exciting magazine called Arise. It's an excellent fit for class discussions or personal devotions. Arise can be purchased through our website or by calling 478-784-7600. This podcast was designed by Church of God for Church of God. Don't go away. Stay tuned for more exciting conversations. Thanks for listening.
Friends, we're back tonight. Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches. Brother Storts, who was right in Boone doing that devastating storm and what he went through. We're finding more about that. Brother Storts, what were you able to keep? Clothing, mementos? Were you able to keep anything at all?
We were able to save some of my library. I had donated and sold a lot. Probably had about 2,000 or 3,000 books whenever I was in Knoxville, Tennessee. But we have sold and given away hundreds of books. But I was able, those that I had kept, the selected volumes that I had kept, we were able to save some of those because they weren't on the floor. They weren't low enough to be water damaged. Anything hanging on the wall was okay. Most of our clothes were okay.
Okay.
We probably have to wash them to get the mold out of them. We could see some mold on the clothes. It's just a devastating thing because the park manager wanted to get into the mobile home fast enough to dry out the flooring and put dehumidifiers in there and get it dried out as quick as possible.
Right.
And so they were rushing us to get out. In fact, they even wanted to bring a covered trailer in and load our stuff up and just take it away so they could get in there and work on the mobile home. But I didn't feel like that was fair for us to just throw our stuff into a covered trailer and then have to move it again to put it into a U-Haul truck. So I told them that they just have to wait for us to get our stuff out of there, and they consented. So we have a lot of devastation in some other low-lying areas. Walmart is in a low level, and they have millions of dollars worth of damage to their merchandise and building. The Walmart has been closed ever since the storm started last Thursday or Friday. So we have to go about 30 miles to get to a Walmart. Some of the office buildings were in, just right next to each other, like a row of buildings, and some of those were condemned, and there's just debris from people's houses and from down trees, and it's just the creeks and the culverts are just plugged up with debris. And the cleanup is a major effort going on right now. One of the ladies that I work with, her house was under about 7 or 8 feet of water.
Wow.
And
wow.
She said her lawnmower was washed away into a field about quite a distance from her house. My lawnmower was in that 8x8 storage building, and I don't know where it is. So
those are just lost. Those things are just lost. They're just
that whole storage building is lost. Everything in it. I had a table saw and a lawnmower and some other tools, and I even had some records that I had stored out there.
Any questions from our director?
No, not at the moment.
Brother Storts, I want to just ask you, when these things happen, how did you submit to the loss? How have you reconciled that these things are gone and God allowed it? Or how do you sink and submit to that type of loss?
Well, you just have to ask God for grace to go through it without getting bitter or without getting hateful, without just allowing your emotions to get in despair. But God will give grace if you're a servant of God, if you're a child of God. He'll give you grace to go through difficult situations like that. We're still in God's hands.
Amen.
I lost a lot of electronic stuff, a lot of cassette tapes and DVDs from ministers and camp meetings and revivals and books and photographs. Some of my family photographs were ruined. Fortunately, I had several large photographs of my family on the walls, and I was able to save those. But our couch, our chair, our recliner, we hopefully we were saved a queen size bed. Our king size bed we didn't save, so
We gave it to somebody.
we gave some of the stuff that we had. We wasn't sure that it was damaged too badly, and some of the people, the Latino people that live in our area, a couple of them came by, and especially one young man was just an absolute blessing to us to help us move the stuff from our house to the U-Haul truck. He was just a very strong, friendly, healthy young man that was able to pick stuff up and carry it around like it was nothing.
Wow.
Wow. And that was a blessing to me because I'm not as young as I used to be.
I'm not either. Especially in lifting and doing things. Do you plan to return to Boone in the future?
Well, that's submitted to God. We're going to go. We're going to go go visit a minister's friend that invited us to come stay with him for a while. So we're going to go visit with him in Mississippi, and we'll just pray and ask God to give us direction on what to do and where to go.
Well, Storts, any advice? We went through a storm here in Georgia some years ago. We had no water for 23 days. The government gave us 2 gallons per day per household. No showers, just washing with those 2 gallons. And it was traumatic. But what you guys went through, that's another level. Any advice learned through this issue that you can pass on to us?
Take heed to the warnings that are given by the weather forecasting bureau, and don't take chances with your life. Don't try to stay in something that you're being warned could be washed away. And if you've collected stuff over the years, your grandchildren would probably appreciate it if you got rid of it. And if you're not using it, you probably either ought to sell it or give it away. And I wished I had sold and given away more stuff than I had, because we don't need all that stuff to live and to be comfortable.
No, we don't. That's true. It's true.
We have too much stuff.
It's true.
And that stuff can tie us down and prevent us from being useful to God.
It's true.
So I'd been downsizing for years, but I still could have done better.
We have a lot of stuff, saints of God. We have a lot. Our closets are filled.
That's true.
Our garages are filled.
Yes.
Our shoes, our shoes are filled.
Guilty.
The drawers are filled. The frigidairs are filled. Filled. That's an important point there. The Storts, there's a friend of mine who's going to send you some something tomorrow morning. But if someone who wants to support you, give us your phone number, the address you're going to. How can they contact you if they want to contact you about this situation?
The absolute best and easiest way to contact us is set up a Zelle account with your bank, and you can send money to my Zelle account at my bank by just using my name and phone number. My name is Jim Storts, and my phone number is 865-356-2872. And that's all you need to send money with Zelle, and it'll be instantaneous. There is another method. You can go to Walmart and use their money transfer system, and you fill out they ask you the information they need, and you give them the cash, or yeah, it has to be cash, I believe. I don't know if they use debit cards or not, but they'll give you a receipt that has a money control number on it. It's about 9 digits, and you send me that 9 digit number, and I can go to the Walmart. Probably ought to do it the Walmart in Greenville, Mississippi, and I can go to the Walmart in Greenville, Mississippi, and pick up those funds.
Put your number again, please, one more time.
865-356-2872.
And friends, you can also contact our office. Our email is reeeechone@AOL.com, or you can call us for his information. Our phone number is 478-283-9093. The Storts, in the last moments that we have, anything else you want to say at this point? I know you're hurting. That's why I wanted to contact you. I was just shocked when I heard about Boone. Any closing remarks from you?
If you're in a flood zone area, don't store stuff on the floor. Get it up off of the floor as much as you can, because whatever's on the floor, it's going to go at minimum. And again, I say, God being on our side, the most important thing that we've been able to keep is our salvation.
Amen.
As long as I have my salvation, I'm satisfied.
Amen. Amen. Well, friends, you've heard tonight what this brother's going through, the cataclysmic storm. This hit those 6 states. So be in prayer for those. To our director, thank you so much. The Storts, thank you also to our listeners. May the Lord bless you. Have a good day.
God bless you. Thank you very much.